Do win percentages tell you anything at all about the value that of your Sharks legends and the contribution to our great club? Joining me on this special video and episode of the ET Stand podcast is Sharks dribbler and resident historian and just enthusiast of all things numbers and what happened way back when is Williams. Win percentages, before we dig into the numbers, do you think they are going to tell us anything or not?
No, absolutely baloney. Nothing. They'll show you no correlation whatsoever. I've done the numbers. I love numbers. I love random facts. I love random players. They mean nothing.
Well, you're wrong, because actually the numbers are incredibly telling, and it paints a picture of actually who are the top guys and what do they actually add to our team. And when these guys play, they actually add a bit of value to our team. So that's what we're going to dig into right now. You're completely wrong, Williams. Look, give us your opinion in the comments section. We definitely want to read them and hear from you guys. Do you think win percentages matter or not? And if there are any as we're going through these numbers, what do they tell you? All right, well, let's head on to the first slide as we look at highest win percentages of Sharks players all time. Williams, give us the run through.
Well, obviously I can hear all the fans, the true fans will be like crying out now going, Tony Williams played one game for us and he got a win. It's 100%. So did, what was his name? Carl McNichol for Liga. He also had a 100%. I had to, when I was crunching these numbers, rule out those players that played 1, 2, 3 games. That could be a good bit of trivia fun for later. So the minimum number of games played for this great club had to be 5. If we have a look back in the 71 to 73 era, we had Peter O'Brien, who was a utility backline three-quarter player who played 13 matches, got 12 wins. During a pretty successful period for the club, we got a grand final appearance there in 73. He didn't play for them on that occasion, but he came in and out of the side. Well, maybe the result would have been different. Who knows? But we'll chat about it. But we'll have a look. We've got some.
Lost one match.
Well, that's it. He was.
Brian Stan.
Exactly. Well, we'll unpack that later, but no spoilers, David. But looking at it as well, so we've got the great Lockie Miller in 2022. Only played 7 matches for us. He's quite lauded in some parts. He obviously went to Newcastle and now he's gone on to other parts. But he only lost 1 match, and I believe that match was the semi-final against South Sydney. You look at Tyrone Peachey, had a good record for us. Yeah, Tyrone Peachey had a good record for us in his first season in first grade. He also scored on a side point, the greatest no-try to ever be a no-try at Shark Park on debut. Got disallowed for chip and chase.
Absolutely nuts.
And he did trip someone over and it got pulled back, but it's still a travesty. Matty Cavallo in 2022 as well with only 1 loss there. Dion Cope, going back to the 90s, he got 5 matches, 4 wins.
What position did Dion Cope play?
I can't remember. Off the bench, maybe. That's something I'll take for now. I thought you'd know that. I've forgotten. Jeremy Lattimore, here's one that's a really interesting one. So he played 19 matches in 2017. Wasn't the best season for us. We finished 6th that year, and he got 14 wins. So pretty much every match off the bench, but 74% win percentage there. And Paul Donaghy would by far the most matches in that period, 51, 37 wins. So he played during the late 90s and 2000. Came into the centres whenever you had players like ET out with injury or out on origin duty, and he obviously filled in well. So 73% win percentage. But during a period where if he's playing, we probably don't have our full strength side in the park and we're still winning. So that's telling. Is Paul Donaghy our greatest player? I'll leave that to you to decide. Moving on to the lowest.
Donaghy Stand podcast, is it?
Yeah, maybe if they put a stand at the northern end, we can call it the Donny O'Brien stand. But anyway, or maybe the Donny O'Brien bar.
Is still telling. It does. Clearly, you want to win games, and so if you're a player who typically, when you play, your team just wins, it's got to make you pretty valuable. So, but maybe 5 matches is not enough.
Well, there was
maybe he was underrated player. Maybe the 2017 team would have been better if he'd played more.
Maybe you would have done better.
Better things. Lachlan Miller was immediately signed for someone else.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, you look at the Ben Barber factor too. Every time he scored a try, we seem to win. So if you draw parallels like that as well, I can see what you're saying, but some of the other percentages we'll see will maybe debunk that in my mind. But yeah.
All right. Well,
roll forward.
If there are any relatives or anyone who knows Sharks legend Pete O'Brien, we would love to get him on the ET Stand podcast.
Yeah.
I reckon that would be highly entertaining. All right, so do the highest win percentages tell us anything? Well, maybe it tells us there was a missed opportunity with Tyrone Peachy, I think is what it tells, and maybe we should have kept Jeremy Lattimore.
Just on Peachy, what's his best position? That was his problem. He never nutted one down. What's his? Is it centre? Is it second row? Is it? He's playing a bit of 5'8".
Centre.
Yeah, he's a bit too small to come off the bench, I think, still. I mean, he's back at the Panthers now, but I don't know.
Never left the Sharks.
Oh, true. Agreed. Travesty that any Peachy name would play against us. But anyway.
The game where Peachy played against us. The South.
2007. And
he
scored.
Won. That was just cheeky bugger. I'm like,
Still scarred. Still scarred. That is a dark day in Sharks history. We'll look at that another time.
All right, on to the next. All-time legends win percentages. So what characterized you as a legend? How did you get named as a legend?
Straight to the top. Well, obviously you can see this as like everything in the ET stands kind of eminent history of factual integrity in the Tom Hazelwood realm. We've got Ben Pomeroy second from the bottom listed as a Sharks legend.
Well, yes, I can hear notorious Sharks.
Yeah, we've got to say, he's a notorious player. So he played through a period of success. So we made the finals in 2012, 2013. He was also synonymous with a period of not so great success. We're looking 06, 07, 09, 2010, 2011. He wasn't there in 2014. Maybe that was why we went so bad in 2014. Maybe things would have been different. Anyway, he played 158 matches for 64 wins, 93 losses, 1 draw, and a 41% record. Just below him, though, which our good friend Stephen Franklin has expressed views on another issue or another episode of this great podcast that we're running here about the Monty Porter factor. Why? He's our first captain, but what did he do? I'd argue someone's got to be first.
He lost all of the matches he played.
He had a great career with St. George. He won so many premierships. He did so much in this great game. And for us, he won a grand total of 3 matches. So that's why I'd say that he is actually a Sharks immortal. He's a Sharks great. There's got to be a first. There's got to be your Neil Armstrong. He was that. But his win percentage is 14%. So you can't discount his contribution to this club and everything that he did afterwards in retirement and also with his son and other players or other people in and amongst the club. I think he coached us for a time too, so you can't discount that. Moving forward, though, you got Greg Pearce, who played 69 to 80. That's a long period of time for a hard second rower that he was. 49% win percentage. Moving up, Paul Gallen. Now, obviously the most longevity of any of these players, 349 matches and a 50%, exactly 50% win record, which is crazy. Gavin Miller.
Not exactly 50%, actually.
Well, no, you're right, actually. Bang on. There's a bit of a statistical rounding here, but close enough anyway. So 173 wins, 175 losses, and just 1 draw, which is a bit surprising. We'll have to look at what that draw may have been, because we did draw a few matches in his time, but he was obviously out on origin duty or injury or other reasons for missing those ones. Gavin Miller, 51%, 7 draws in that period, quite a few, but 94 wins, so he had more wins than he did losses there. Wade Graham, a 52% wins percentage. That was correct stats up to the end of 2023. Tommy Bishop, only 62 matches, but he came in. He was our first big signing coming from the UK. There's a whole story about why he signed with the club and not, I think it was either East or Manly that he looked to be signing with initially. And he got 33.
His win-loss record would have drastically improved at the end of his time with the Sharks in 73.
Finishing off in his captain coach year of 73, absolutely. So that rounded up. 69 was our second spoon. So he came out here, the big money signing from the UK, and quickly joined a team.
How can you say that that's not a telling kind of dig in?
It is telling, but if you look at it on a per season basis, that would tell more of the story, I think. But we'll get to the point. We'll get to the punchline. Anyway, there's like any stats, you can skew them whichever way you like. On to Dane Sorensen, 54% across 222 games from 77 to 89 through some periods of success, especially in 78 and 79 and then 88 and 89 and some periods of lots of lack of success. He also left the club for a period of time too, for a short period anyway, 1 year, but 54%. Andrew Fafita, the great 213 matches for this club over 11 seasons and a 55% win percentage. Steve Rogers.
Look how high is this? And he played the basically similar era to Gallen. He comes along and the Sharks just start winning.
Well, you look, Gallen had, 03, 04, 06, 09.
He comes along and we're basically instantly winning. Like that
Well,
2013 season, we were good.
2012, Fafita came across with who was the big prop forward? Bryce Gibbs and Todd Carney signed. And then 2013, we got Bo Ryan and Chris Heinington, and we got Michael Gordon in that period as well. Who else we had? John O'Wright.
5%.
So, yeah. So, I mean,
Oh, right.
there's,
Well, he could be in the Sharks Legends list.
yes.
But I just point out, though, of the players that we considered Sharks legends, and if you exclude Ben Palmeroy from this list, basically all of them.
How could you?
Well, basically all of them have a win percentage higher than 50%.
True.
So
and I think,
getting up into the Fafita, Rogers, ET, Healy, Peachy kind of space, like all of our top guys have all got high win-loss records. So it's not coincidence that those are the top guys. So how can you say that that's not telling that our top guys have high win percentage?
Well, if you unpack, so you look at Matt Rogers and David Peachy right at the very top, and I'll cover off the guys in between shortly, but they were in periods of real success. Matt Rogers, 95 to 01. They only missed the finals
because they were
once.
in the team.
In 98, but he only had, true, you can only register a win if you're in the team, but still, he registered quite a few losses there, 47 and a 61% percentage. So that's different, much different to Paul Donaghy. It'd be interesting to see, and maybe we should do the numbers again soon, maybe at the end of this season when we've got more accurate data at the end of another year.
Rogers was
comparing...
Donaghy at 73%.
73. I'd have to spend some time looking at it, but compare their percentage, the player percentage versus the team's percentage over those year periods. So let's say between 95 and 01, speculating Cronulla Sharks won, let's say 63% of their games and Rogers at 61. I don't know, I'm just speculating, but that would, you'd be able to...
Are we looking at Benji's percentage? It'll be significantly lower than 59% for when he played.
Are you looking at correlation or causation? So, yeah, I mean, the Andrew Johns factor, but looking back, so it's Steve Rogers had quite a few as well. He had success in 73, 78, 79, went to the Dragons for a year, came back, and 85 didn't really count. He broke his jaw in the first match. So, at 55%. Andrew E.T., the legend that he is, 344 matches across 17 seasons, 18 seasons,
That's
actually 56%.
Number, given his long career.
Yeah, true, and the sheer volume of downtime, let's say, for want of a better term, that the club had through trouble and heartache through the early 80s, the early 90s. Mitch Healy, one of my favourites, 89 to 2000, 12 seasons, 57% percentage, and Peachy obviously 59, and Matt Rogers 61, as mentioned. So you can say Matt Rogers is the great that I quickly whipped up there. Let's have a look at some of the lower ones, though, or some of the interesting ones. I think we've unpacked some.
Rogers is an absolute gun. Is he not the greatest shame or just bummer moment in terms of a Sharks player who left?
For sure, absolutely.
Got 129 matches out of him. Like, he was an absolute weapon.
We had his injury troubles too, so he missed by and large the majority of the 01 season. I think he only played 4 matches at the end of that season, and then a couple of finals.
He also got injured.
Yeah,
he also got injured in the Dragons match, didn't he?
Oh, and he missed part of 99 too because he got injured in one of the Origin matches. Origin 1, he scored all 9 points to win 9-8, and then I think got an injury in game 2 and missed a fair period of it. So he was, throughout his entire career, his book is a great read. He does talk about the fact that he had many injuries and unfortunately was injury prone. It's still a travesty that he left, and I think he's the biggest one that got away. He had his reasons for leaving. And he's forever a Shark, he admits that, but it's a shame that he didn't stick around, because I think if he did stick around, it would have been interesting to see if we won the big one. Especially if he moved infield. Anyway, well other story.
He also wanted to be fullback, and we had the peach, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, there's just to go on a tangent for a second, and I'm sure that the crowd are looking for the punchline here, but have you seen his book where John Lang, he kept pestering John Lang, going, I've got to move infield, I've got to move into centre or 5'8". Yeah, and John Lang said, why would I move the best winger in the world? And Chris Anderson had the same chat with him and basically said the same thing, your best winger in the world. Then he goes to rugby union, he comes back, he plays for the Titans, he's playing number 6. The Titans win. John Lang comes into the Titans change room and says, look, mate, I was wrong. I should have moved you in at the Sharks. And Matt Rogers, he didn't say thanks. He said all he was seething inside, going far out. Like, my life would be completely different if you moved infield, Neville left the club, all those things. I mean, he can never really say that all those things. He had a lot of other stuff going on in his personal life. But
and Chris Anderson would have been a premiership winning coach with the Sharks.
What if? Do you look at that? You've got the Preston Campbell factor in there too. That's complicated things. The Matthew Johns factor, but gosh, if we never signed Matthew Johns, and if we had,
talk about him
And if we had, I'm not talking about Matthew Johns, no more mention of his name, but if we had a halves pairing of Rogers and Campbell, I mean, obviously you were going to lose Dykes at the end of 01 anyway, but
Wally would have been good.
Rogers and Kamali would have been great. So what if? I've never considered that, and now I'm not going to sleep tonight, David. What are you doing? Anyway.
Terrible, isn't it? Well, here's
Thank
our
goodness
conclusion on the win percentages of the Sharks legends. I think it's telling and not surprising that our top performing players who played the most matches for us and the ones that we consider legends have all got high win percentages.
Do you have any more?
ET legends.
Do you have any more data there though? Was there a bit more data, or was that all we got?
Oh no, we got a little bit more. It wouldn't be us without looking at a little bit more. So here's some interesting win percentages, William.
Thanks, mate. I was worried you'd drop these off because these were my favourites. So Edric Lee, so maligned, 24 matches, 17 wins across 2017-2018. Periods where, yes, we made the finals.
Those are almost Boldo numbers. 2018
was one of my favourite seasons. We made the prelim. We were a Luke Lewis just ground the ball away from having the week off. Instead, Latrell knocked it out. Wade Graham did his ACL, and we had to play week 2, and we lost to Melbourne in week 3. But Edric Lee was a standout that season. We had a 71%, or he had a 71% win percentage. Tawera Nikau, another one of our favourites during a great period of success from 95 to 97. Yeah, coming from the UK. It's a shame he went to Melbourne as well. 69%.
He went to Melbourne and then they immediately won.
Exactly. He was huge. He was unstoppable at lock for them. Michael Ennis, only 2 seasons for us, but he played a phenomenal amount of matches. I think he only missed 1 or 2 matches in that period. 51 matches, 35 wins, 1 draw, 69%. You got Joseph Paulo, 2016 and 2018. He was a bit more of a replacement type player, but still a good win percentage as well, 69%. And Craig Greenhill, everyone's favourite player, who was the first person ever sent off in an Origin match, with a 68% win percentage. In another successful period like Tawera Nikau, 95 to 98. 98 being the blemish, being that we missed out on the top 10, missed out on the finals that year. So he played 61, 41, lost 18, drew 1 for 68%. So there's some interesting ones there.
But you would look at all, excluding Edric, because it doesn't include errors. But, I didn't mind Edric. I thought he was pretty good.
If it wasn't for
Boldo and Greenhill, they are all considered absolute legends for the Sharks.
True, you're right. You look at all Nikau and Ennis especially.
When he came on, he was just special. Ennis was just probably the most unpopular non-Shark to become a Shark of all time,
and then became one of the most popular Sharks. So it's a shame. I mean, it's a side point that in his post-football career, as he's entitled to do, he's gone to about 27 different clubs, and you don't know whose allegiances he aligns with these days, but we thank him for his time.
Coaching pay packet, isn't he?
Exactly. But on Edric, Michael Ennis will catch you soon. But Edge, thank you for 2016. I'd like to say the most influential player in 2016 for us of that list, Edric Lee. Without him and his dropped ball that he would have scored to make it 16-0 with the line wide open, wide out on the left, if he didn't drop that, we wouldn't have won the grand final. So thank you, Edric. The Canberra match, right in front where we were sitting, 12-0 down. Watch it again. Bomb goes up, and I think it's fielded by Croker, given to Edric, and he loses it. Yeah, so we're doing 16-0 on lights out.
One of the great moves. All right, well, that's it. We wouldn't dare look at another table.
While we're here, while we're going, let's do it.
It wouldn't be us if we didn't look at one more table. All right, here we are. Lowest win percentages of Sharks players all time. Take it away, Williams.
The least successful, let's call them, the least good Sharks win percentages of all time. Daniel Holdsworth, I'll give a big shout out to him. He can kick a field goal, that field goal from about 48 metres out, which these days would be a 2-point field goal and would have won the match for us against the Cowboys in late 2014 to send extra time. Unfortunately, he only played 8 matches that year for us after having a pretty decent, solid career with the Bulldogs and the Dragons before that, having come from WA prior. So he was WA born and raised, not exactly rugby league heartland. And he didn't win any matches at all for us. And now he gets around as one of our trainers, so and one of our coaching staff. So good on Daniel, but 0% for him. Rennie Matua never won a match for this great club. Rennie Matua with his ill-fated 2009 season, 8 matches. obviously he's had his as publicised problems afterwards, and we send our heart out to him. But unfortunately, there was the performance lack of enhancement that occurred in '09, and then his departure from the club. 0%. Junior Rakika, a bit of a cult figure during that period, 2014, and he was part of our 2015-9 squad and was around the club for a fair period of time, even 2016.
He's on my premiership shirt, isn't he?
He is. He's on the premiership shirt. Unfortunately, didn't play any matches before or after 2014. 0% win percentage. Charlie Saab, throwing back to 1992, 5 matches for 0%. Nick Youngquist was an up-and-coming junior in 03, coming off the wing, played 5 matches.
To the Dragons, Nick Youngquist?
He went to the Panthers, and then I think he went to the Dragons after that. He's now an accomplished distance runner, so good on Nick Youngquist there, but 0%. But the one that takes the cake, he's got a high percentage, and he did set up a famous try for Paul Gallen to score late against Canberra in 2009 in Canberra in a mini mid-season revival that we had. But unfortunately, of all players to sign, like we lost to Isaac de Gois, we lost Kevin Kingston, and we signed Corey Hughes, and he will go down in infamy as one of the least successful signings in Sharks history. 21 matches,
given how many
3 wins.
He played.
And he played.
He brought in as a regular, whereas Matua was brought in as a regular.
Yeah. Matua was on a bit of a bargain base when he was trying to re-establish his career. But you're right, Holdsworth was brought in as depth.
Saab was. Yeah, the others. Corey Hughes was brought in as legit hooker.
Starting hooker. And 09 was a maligned season for many reasons, but still Corey Hughes, I don't think the stage of the career he was at, the performance he provided, he wasn't up to it. And I suppose there was some genuine concern about Michael Ennis when we signed him in 2015 ahead of that season, and we'd lost Michael Leisha. There was a bit of concern that Michael Ennis was on his last legs, and there might be a bit of a Corey Hughes Mark 2.0. Thankfully, we were very, very wrong there. But Corey Hughes, thank you for being our
worst ever,
least
successful signing ever. Well, wasn't on that. Successful?
Oh, we'll have to look at that. Maybe not.
Look at that. We will do a list of most.
But Boldo, I think you've used my data against me because I was like, no, stats mean nothing. And I think win percentages, you can spin them whichever way you like. How can you
possibly say that this is not telling for Corey Hughes?
I think it's telling. It's telling where it needs to be telling. Similar to the stat they had last year, they were willing out saying that Luke Brooks hadn't won a match in over 1,000 days, or I can't remember what it was, kind of thing, a calendar year, something, over 365 days. Stats don't have feelings. But I think these ones are telling. Some of the other ones, you look at, what's his name? Pete O'Brien, obviously pure stats. He's not our greatest. He himself would admit he's not our greatest ever player. But if you look at it, over 5 matches played for us, he's got the greatest win percentage. So, you can spin it whichever way you like.
To be in the team of the century, sitting alongside Jeremy Lattimore and Paul Donaghy in the centres with David Peachy, Mitch Healy, and not Paul Gallen, Greg Pearce, or Ben Pomeroy, or Monty Porter.
Exactly. So, you can...
Well, that was our version of the win percentages and the analysis. Look, draw your own conclusions. I think the numbers don't lie, but they can paint a story, which is interesting. So hopefully you guys got a bit of fun looking out of that. In the future on ET Stand podcast episodes or videos, we'll certainly do a look at worst Shark signings ever, and we'll rank them out of the top 10, I think, is what we might do in the future.
Controversial.
I think it is. All right, that was the ET Stand Sharks win percentages. And we will thank you very much for coming along and see you guys next time. For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.